Hi, everybody, and welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. I'm Kathi Ondas, and today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. I had to stop and think about that for a minute. I hope you're ready for our eighth volume or eighth month of doing sketch designs or card layout designs, templates, whatever you want to call them. They all serve the same function. They're there to give you like a jumping or a point to kind of spark your creativity and kind of inspire you in your card making. So today I have three what I'm calling go-to sketches that are for handmade cards. And this is volume 8. We're going to do layouts 22 through 24. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you see and hit that subscribe button. And if you're with me live or come back and watch the replay, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. If you're new to the design layouts, what I do is I make the layout design with you. It's the template. And then we make one card. Afterwards, I show you two more cards using that template. So, and different ways to use the template. Hi, Diane and everybody. Thank you for joining. So, I am going to show you which three bundles, stamp sets, I'm going to be using. I'm using three different designer series papers. I'm not going to pull those out because you've seen them in the past if you've watched me before. I will have a tutorial available starting next Tuesday for these templates and 9 cards. And there will be a link in the video description for that at that time. So I am going to turn this over because we got a lot to do and we're going to get started. Okay, so first thing I want to do is show you the 3 bundles I'm using. Now, important to remember, key point, these are what I'm using. Doesn't mean that's what you have to use. These templates are for you to use what you have on hand. They're ideas. So, if you have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you see something you like, I'm sure they'll be happy if you order it. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'll be happy to help you. But again, use what you have. So today we're going to be using the Extraordinary Flora bundle. This I really like. This is one stamp set, and you stamp it, color your designs, your stamped images, and there's one die that cuts all those out at the same time, which I think is pretty cool. It's really a no-waste product because you have everything there, and you have a couple really cute sentiments with this. The other thing that goes along with this is washi tape. Now, I've never been a big fan of washi tape. I've not used it much. I love this. And I did use this in my 2 of my cards today. I won't be showing you how to use it, but I'm probably going to hop on later this week as an extra video just to show you what you can do with this stamp set using the washi tape and the stamps. So that's one bundle. The second bundle is I am using, it's actually combined. I'm using the Beautiful Motifs stamp set and Gallery of Blooms dies and stamp set for the cards. And I've done a little bit with this before, but I'm excited to show you what we do with this now. And then the third one is Thankful Garden. I'm using the floral and the sentiments and some of the dies from this. The different papers I'm using our beautiful gallery, which goes with the Gallery of Blooms. I'm using Florals in Bloom, which is what goes with Thankful Garden. And then I'm using the Flower Garden foils and Lovely Garden. And the reason I chose that one is the Extraordinary Florals does not have a matching designer series paper. So I chose paper that had the colors from the washi tape in it. So let's get started. Hi Linda, thank you for joining. So our first sketch or card design layout is number 22. We're starting off with a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now this represents a normal size card. I'm just using half of it to represent my card base. The next layer is a piece of 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to go ahead and attach that. Now this could be cardstock, it could be an embossed layer, it could be designer series paper, it could be foil, and anything you choose to use for this layer. And that's what's so neat about the templates is they give you ideas, but then you pull from your stash and you use what you have. Okay, now next we have a bottom panel, and that bottom panel measures 1 3/8. Oops, wrong panel. 1 3/8 by 3 3/4. And this is going to go right across the bottom here. So the layout's going to look like that. We have a right panel that's 1 3/8 by 3 1/2. And then we have a left panel that's 1 3/8 by 3 1/2. And these are going to go together like this. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere these. Now I'm using the glue to put them down. You can use your multi-dimensional Stampin' Dimensionals. You can use your tape runner or Stampin' Seal, whatever you want to call it, to make these layers look however you want them to. So this is going to come down. Now what I do with my card design layouts or templates, sketches, whatever we call them, I actually put my measurements on the back of my template. And that way, when I go to make these cards, I have everything available to me that tells me what measurements to do. Now, when you're making them, you can write the measurements on each little piece, or if you get the tutorial, you will have a page to cut out a square, and this just smeared for some reason. This is like a sticky note that I use and put on the back of my template, and then they're ready to go. So let's make our first card. So for this card, I'm using Very Vanilla. Now, all card bases are either 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4, or 5 1/2 by 11, or 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. You get to choose. So even though I show you this using 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, you may choose to use the 4 1/4 by 11. Doesn't really matter. So for our second layer, I'm using a piece of Lost Lagoon, and it's the 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm just going to use this as is. And we are going to adhere this right like this. All right. Now, our first panel that's going to go down, I used some of the, the beautiful gallery DSP. And I cut it so that it would kind of match up. So it's going to go along these join. If you look at them, they kind of fit together. And then I used a stamp from the gallery of blooms and put it on that left panel. And I'm going to pop this one up. Now, you can go ahead and I'm going to put this one down first. You can go ahead and pop it up. You can pop all three panels up, or you can use your adhesive and just adhere them down with either glue or Stamp and Seal Plus. So I'm going to put this right about here. Okay. Now, this one I'm going to put down next because I am going to pop up that other one. And I'm going to make sure that it lines up with the edge of that bottom, so they line up, and that I have about the same amount on the top as I do on the bottom. And I don't as well as I would like to, but there we go. Now you can glue that down. I think it will look cute popped up. And we're going to go ahead and add this one. And then I have two more cards using this layout, using the other two bundles that I showed you. So let's add this here. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my pick tool. I hope you had a good weekend. I spent the whole weekend gone at the baseball field for my grandson for baseball tournaments. So it was a fun weekend. Little cool, but very enjoyable. So, all right, here's our first card. Now, I'm not doing the inside on these, but the insides will be available in the tutorial. And then you can add, I thought it would be fun to add some of the adhesive backed pearl trios. And we're going to go ahead and add just a couple of these here. I'm going to add one here and one here. And let's add a third one. I add it right there. Okay, so that's our first card. Now let's take a look at the other two. So I'm going to turn our template over, and you can see we made this one as is. So here is another one. This is using the, oh goodness. This one is using the Extraordinary Flora. I use the washi tape, and to use the washi tape, it comes in 6-inch strips, and or you cut it in 6-inch strips. The colors change at that 6-inch mark. So this one had like Petunia Pop, and we had some, I think it's Summer Splash, and I did lay it on basic white cardstock and smoothed it out, and then I die cut it. And I came out with all these wonderful little dies that I've put in this little baggie that I have to use it. So here I use some Designer Series paper. This I believe is from Lovely Garden. And then I used the embossing folder, the pressed flowers, and embossed the white panel on the left and on the bottom. And I added my little die cuts. And this is a greeting from the new stamp set, More Messages, that I had cut out. So there's card number 2. Now, card number 3, I took and I put this on its side. And I used the not gallery blooms. I used the Thankful Garden and added my 2 strips of different Designer Series paper, stamped a partial stamp on my basic white panel, and then added a bow. So there's this template using 3 different stamp sets. So let's go on to template 23. Hi, Joan. Thanks for joining. So for template 23, I'm going to bring out, I use all basic colors when I put my templates together, because then I don't feel like I'm struggling with colors to kind of come up with how to put this together. So again, my card base is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25, or the 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5. And we are going to add a layer that's 4 by 5.25. So let's do that. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to add 2 panels. So you're going to need 2 pieces of a mat, and these are 1 3/4 by 3.25. And then the layers for the mat are 1 5/8 by 3 1/8. And we're just going to go ahead and adhere these down. So I'd love to know, for those of you that have been joining me each month for these, if you've made the templates or using them. By the time we're done, at the end of September, we'll have 36 templates to use and to be able to pick from. So I keep all of mine in a little plastic tub or container, and use them all the time. All right, so here are these 2. So this is going to go here. They're both the same size, and one here. So just going to go ahead and adhere these down, adding a little bit of adhesive. And let's add this one. Okay, so these, you want them about evenly spaced, side, top, and bottom. And then your focal point is going to be a 2.25 or 2 to 2.5 inch circle. And this is going to go right in here. So I'm going to, got some green die cuts there. I'm just going to adhere mine down. Most of them in the cards I've popped up, but and then just spread that or space it so it looks pretty even. So there's our template, and here is our measurements for that template that I'm going to go ahead and just adhere to the back of my card, or back of my design template. And then I have it ready to go. So let's make our first card using this template. So for this one, I've chosen to use, what did I use? Crushed curry. Again, this is an 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. And I chose crushed curry because of the designer series paper. So next, I also have a layer of, and this is embossed with that new damask. Oh, not able to see well. Do the damask embossing folder. Hopefully you can see that. Now for this card, I'm going to go ahead and flip it. So I have the template. The cards that I'm going to show you I made using that template. The next 2 cards are made differently using the same template, but they're done in a portrait mode. And this one we're going to do in a landscape mode. Okay, so next we have our mats, and these again are 1 3/4 by 3 1/4, and then these are 1 5/8 by 3 1/8. And we're going to adhere these to our mats. So let's do that here. Now, if you do use the template and you reverse or switch it up, change your from portrait to landscape, be careful with cutting your paper. Make sure that your paper is going to flow along with the direction of your card. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop these up. And we're just going to add a few dimensionals for this. My goal is always to show you how you can use these in more than that one way. And again, just to kind of get your creative juices flowing, I guess is a good way to put it. So let's go ahead and add these. And this one is going to go up towards the top. Now they're both the same size, so doesn't really matter which goes down first. And then this one's going to go down here at the bottom. Now for my focal point, I'm going to take a piece of this. I always use my ends up. And oftentimes I'll even cut my dimensionals in half, which I did not do this time, mainly because I ran out of time earlier today to get them cut off. So let's lay this one here. Okay. Now our focal point is, I'm using the second largest circle from Stylish Shapes. And I went ahead and stamped my greeting. I used 2 of the stamps from the Thankful Garden, and I stamped them on both of them on the circle. I then stamped this larger image and colored just the flower part, and then die cut it out. And then did a die cut from using the dies to Thankful Garden. Now this is kind of big, and I want to be able to add it like this. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down, and I'm going to space it right between the 2 here to hopefully be pretty even. So I'm only going to add some glue to top and bottom, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to add my dimensionals. So I want to be able to make sure that's pretty spaced, pretty well spaced. Now I don't want these, since that's moving around, that has to stick, but I don't want these to kind of flatten out. So what I'm going to do is take a dimensional, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the backing off. And I'm just going to put it on the tip of my pick tool and lift it up and lay it under there. That way I know that it is positioned correctly and I'm not overlapping any of those panels, because then it wouldn't lay correct. And again, just lifting a little bit and popping it down. All right, so this is going to lay up here, and this is, I'm guessing, maybe kind of large. So I'm going to trim this down just a little bit. It is a die cut, and I'm just going to snip it right here and snip that off. And then for this one, I'm just going to fussy cut it right there. I'm going to stick a dimension each one of these, just a touch. And my flower is going to go here. So let's pop that on just like that. So what I'm going to do is take 2 little dimensionals, my minis, and take the back off and do the same thing we just did on that panel. If I can get the back off. All right. And I'm just going to use my pick tool to tuck it in underneath here. And that way I can just get it to lay right on top. We're going to do the same thing with this one. Right here. And lay it down. All right, now I'm ready to adhere my flower. And this one I am going to just glue down because I've already popped up quite a bit. And if I'm going to put this in the mail, I want it to not get too smashed in there. I'm going to turn this just a little bit here. There we go. Now you can see I have a little bit of glue there. Once that dries, I will use a glue eraser and be able to take that right off. In fact, I can do that now. And I just rub it gently. And you can see it's off. So here's our first card using that template. Now let me show you the other 2. Here's my second one. This one uses the Gallery of Blooms and also using the beautiful Gallery Designer Series paper, using basic beige with early espresso, and just added, stamped the large stamp on my focal point and added the sentiment. And then the third one uses that Extraordinary Flora, where I used Lost Lagoon. And then I took some paper from the beautiful gallery. It was a background that was just a little a muted Lost Lagoon, and I embossed it using the pressed floral embossing folder. And then my sentiments are from, this one is from the Greetings for Everything Mix and Match ephemera pack, and just added a couple of the little flowers. So 1 template and 3 different cards. All right, let's go on to template 24. So template 24, again, these are all easy templates. We're starting off with our card base, which once folded measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Our next layer is 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to go ahead and add that. And then we have, okay, hold on here. Let me get that down. Even it out a little bit. Okay. So we have a panel mat. And we're missing something from, all right, well, I'm not sure where it went, but we have a panel mat that's going to go like this. And this is 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then there should be a gray piece here, and it might be under something, that measures 1 1/8 by 5 1/4. So I am going to cut this piece of Designer Series paper quickly, and we're going to use that just so that you can see what it would look like. Because I'm not sure what this is from. It's scrap, but we're going to use it. I had everything ready, checked everything, made sure I had it all, and it was there. So this would adhere to this. and just all the, so that you had a little bit of an edge all the way around. I am going to go ahead and adhere this. It's gray, so it shouldn't matter. We'll work with what we got. So I'm going to adhere this to here. And this is going to go right across. So you have just a little bit of a border. And then we're going to adhere this to like the lower third of the card. So this is going to go right about here. Now you certainly can adjust that for wherever you want it. And then our last piece, our focal point, is around 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. I used the, I believe, the largest die from Stylish Shapes, and that's going to go right here. So this is another easy template. I'm going to take my measurements and go ahead and adhere this to the back so that I have it to use the next time. And let's make our first card. So for this, I'm using basic white, and I am flipping this to look, I guess, more like that. So with this, I am using the new Strawberry Slush, and this is embossed with that pressed flower embossing folder. And we're going to go ahead and add this layer. It's 4 by 5 1/4. You do not have to emboss your layers. I love embossing layers, so I typically will almost always emboss. And then I have a piece of white, and I'm using some of that floral flower garden foil, and this is in Strawberry Slush, and it does have a pattern to it. And we're going to add this to the basic white mat. So I'm putting the glue on the mat when I need to be putting it on the foil. So let's go ahead and add this here. Now this goes end to end so that you just have some edging on your sides of the layer. And move it over just a little bit. And put that down very well. So let's just readjust it a little bit. That looks better. And I'm going to go ahead and add this right here. Now, you could pop that up. I'm just going to glue it down. And I'm going to move this over a little bit and make sure it's as straight as I can get it. There. And then we're going to add our focal point. So for my focal point, I used the die from Stylish Shapes. I cut it, and I also embossed that with the pressed flower embossing folder. And then I took those little washi tape die cuts and from the Extraordinary Flora, and I adhered them to the edges of the card. So let's go ahead and add that. So I do have quite a few dimensionals, as you can see on here, because the flowers overlapped the sides, and I didn't want those to kind of come apart, I guess is a good way to put it, or to fold down and bend. So let's add this. And I think I have one more here. Okay. And let's go with it this way. Oh, that's upside down. Again, make sure that you're using your, if you're using an embossing folder, that you have it right side up. Now we're ready to add our greeting, and that was also here. So let's grab a greeting. I'm going to take one from the ephemera pack with greetings for everything. And I had one pulled out, but not sure where it went here. So I'm going to use the thinking of you. And we're just going to pop that on there. I really do love that ephemera pack. So let's add this, and then we'll take a look at our last two cards. Hi, Renee. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you enjoyed the card. Thank you. So let's add this here. And just going to add that right there in the middle. So there's our first card, and then you can add some gems to dress it up. But remember, I made this template to go this way. So that's another way to use the template. So here are our two other cards. Here's the one using Gallery of Blooms. Now with this one, I used the damask embossing folder. I used some of the paper from the beautiful Gallery DSP. This background in Calypso Coral, I used the stamp set from not Gallery of Blooms, but it's Partner Stamp, which is Beautiful Motifs. That's this stamp here. And I stamped it just in 3 different ways and then colored and die cut the image. And then for our third card, which is using Thankful Garden, I just used the damask embossing folder again with basic white. And then I used the paper from Gallery of Blooms, which, oops, just dropped something, which is floral. I think it's florals and or Beautiful Gallery. That's it. And cut that out and layered it on another square of white cardstock. So this is using the stylish shape square, and then just added some gems. And this is again one of the greetings from that mix and match ephemera pack. So let me pull all these in so you can see them again. And let's kind of put them here. We've got this card and this card with this one. Here's our sketch. And then our last set is this card and this one with this sketch. So lots of card making ideas. Let me bring you back to me. I hope you enjoyed tonight's card sketches, design layouts, templates, whatever you call them. They all serve the same purpose. I hope you'll give these a try, and I hope you really enjoyed these. They're there, again, just to kind of get your brain flowing. I use mine all the time. I have mine right here in a plastic container, and I'm always pulling them out and using them. So I hope this helps you. I may be popping back on at the end of this week, so we can do a little bit with that washi tape because I love it, and there's some different things you can do with it. So I will be back for sure next Tuesday, and it is Stamped Together Tuesday. So on Sunday, I will be posting the measurements for the supplies you need. Use whatever stamp set, designer paper, gems, whatever you have. Come stamp with me and let's make a card together. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay safe and well, and I can't wait to be with you again. Bye-bye, everybody.